morning, guys, and welcome to another episode of Truck Chats. I'm not trying to call it Chats from the Truck anymore. I started the Chats from the Truck. I'll talk about it right now. I started the Chats from the Truck as kind of like a filler between content, just to keep content flowing. Some people started liking it. And then, as time went on, I'm like, alright, yeah, that's actually a cool segment. And then I looked on Slicey Dicey's channel, and he has the same exact segment, Chats from the Truck. And I'm like, mother, stole it from me, right? No, his came out like a month or two before mine. So we're renaming ours to Truck Chats. Not very unique, but that's what we're doing. So I'm going to do a quick pocket dump. I'm going to talk about Christmas stories if I can come up. I got a couple. I'll talk about knives that bit me. I'm trying to go through everybody's list. I'll talk about what I want to see from Suncut and Wii. And I don't even know what that is. I'm going to talk myself through it as we're going through. But the pocket dump we have today is the Benchmade Super Freak. I know you guys are getting tired of seeing the same old one. Well, like I said yesterday, I cycle between my Super Freak, my Shaman, and my Smock. Soon to be something else. There's something else that's on the way that I have a feeling I'm going to freaking love to. And my PM3 would be in the rotation as soon as I get the scale swap, because while I love the G10 PM3, it is so grippy. It's a pocket destroyer. So it's actually hard to get in and out of the pocket. It is so grippy. All right, that's it. As you guys know, it's a pain in the ass to hear this, so I'm gonna go get my morning coffee and whatnot, and then I will be back once we are not driving 70 miles an hour. See you guys soon. All right, guys, we are back. Welcome back to the first Truck Chats in like 2 weeks. I enjoy doing these just because I kind of like rambling and saying a lot. But I asked for suggestions on what to talk about, and if you guys hear the clicking, it's my Super Freak in the background. Suggestions on what to talk about for this one. So what I'm going to end with is where I intend to go with the channel. But I'm going to try to remember, I'm doing all this off of memory, all the different topics that you guys wanted me to talk about. So the first topic, we'll talk about Christmas stories. Travis requested this. And everybody's got Christmas stories. I'll tell one that's not really funny. It's actually kind of sad. But then I'll tell a happy one, and yeah, I'm trying to think of all the different Christmas stories that we got. So when I was in the Navy, I had a couple Christmases where I was out to sea. It was no big deal. It was just another day. It was whatever. But I had a Christmas where I wasn't out to sea. I joined the Navy with one of my best friends growing up. I knew the kid since he was in 4th grade. And we ended up living together when we were 23 or 22 in the Navy. And so we were from the same hometown, same everything. And so I told him, I was like, yo, I'll get our plane tickets. Just get me back. This way we can get on the same plane. It's no issues, yada, yada, yada. So I get our plane tickets in I don't know, it was November 20th or something, because you can't really buy tickets 6 months in advance, because if you've ever been to a job where a boss denies vacation days, the Navy is notorious for denying vacation. You never know if you're going to get that day off or not. You can route a vacation day. The coolest thing about it is you get 30 days a year. But half the time you don't use them, and then you roll them over, and you end up with 120 days, and then you get out early because you have all these days saved up, blah, blah, blah. Or 90 days. I think they capped it at 90 before I got out. So I buy my plane tickets. December 18th rolls around. We're about to fly out on the 20th, and I'm looking at the tickets again, getting ready to print up all the stuff so that I can take it to the airport with us. And then all of a sudden I panic. The date we were leaving was December 20th, but the date we were returning was January 28th as opposed to December 28th. What that means for me is that I only routed 6 days of vacation, the both of us did. And so we needed to find a plane ride back, and it's Christmas time, good freaking luck. So I ended up looking up tickets, and to change the date The tickets cost us total like $1,000 together. So each person had to pay like $500 round trip. To change the date from January 28th to December 28th was like $1,600. It was absolutely ludicrous. And I looked at my friend and I'm like, no, what? And so I screwed that up. Like, I bought the wrong date. So we ended up just getting our money back. And we bought some ribeyes and, did a cookout and everything. But so that was kind of like a dumb move on my part. And I'm sure everybody's done something stupid like that. And that's not really funny. That's not really sad, I guess. It's just kind of like we didn't get to go home for Christmas because I was an idiot. The happy Christmas story is I proposed to my wife on Christmas Day at her family's house. Now, the way that I did it is somebody always dressed up like Santa Claus at the house, and so I was going to be the one. I volunteered to dress up like Santa. Like, it was all part of the plan. But I didn't want her to know anything of what was going on. So I kept trying to figure out, like, I'm nervous as hell. Anybody who's done it, I'm sure you guys were nervous. It's a nerve-wracking moment. I mean, in your mind, you know what they're gonna say, but at the same time, like, you're just nervous. And so I ended up dressing up like Santa, and the way that they do it is you don't dress up like Santa and like hand out gifts. You dress up like Santa, and the kids catch like a glimpse of you, but that's it. So the kids caught a glimpse of me, and I dropped my Santa bag, and in the Santa bag was stockings for everybody. Well, in her stocking, I had a ring and everything else. So the kids see me, I drop the bag, and she opens up the bag, and I'm just dying nervous. Like, I've been asking her, like, hey, when are we doing Santa? When are we doing Santa? And she's just looking at me like, shut up. Like, we're gonna do it. So she opens up the bag, and she looks at the ring, and I get down on one knee, and she looks at me and just, like, speechless. Like, you expect to see, like, excitement. You expect to see, like, oh my God, yes. Well, she was just so dumbfounded. Like, it must have been so surprising. Like, it was good that she had no freaking idea. Her mind was just like, what is going on? And it was just funny because, like, in my mind, I'm like, is she gonna say no? Like, what the hell? So, I guess that's a fun, happy Christmas story. I apologize. Those stories are kind of weak, but whatever. Moving on, we'll talk about best cuts that I've received from knives for 2020. I'm going to talk about 3. The first one was extremely annoying. I was cleaning out my Wii Praktic, and if anybody's ever taken a knife apart and cleaned up where your pivot screw goes on the blade, plus the bearings, like, that there's this indentation on either side for the bearings to sit into in the blade. So what I would do is I would take paper towel, I'd get like soap and water, and I'd get my finger in there, and I would grab the tip of the blade and rock it back and forth with my finger pinched in that hole. Well, while my finger was pinched in there, the edges of the Wii Praktic were not knocked down in that area at all, which they shouldn't be. You're never going to touch that spot unless you take the knife apart. I had a circular cut on my thumb and pointer finger from pressing too hard into it, trying to get all the gunk out of it. That those 2 circular cuts on your right hand, if you're right-handed, on the tip of your thumb and pointer finger, virtually render your hand useless. It was the most annoying cut that I think I had ever experienced. The second cut, I've told the story before. This is the Bonded by Blood story with the CJRB Mangrove. I hated the knife, and I actually liked it after I cut myself, which is a really weird scenario. But I was putting up some blinds in my son's room, and the blinds ended up being not what my wife expected, so she wanted me to take them back down. Well, the blinds have that little metal clip that clips onto the other piece of metal, so you kind of have to, like, wedge it open. Well, I couldn't get it with my fingers. I think I still had the Wii Praktic cut on my fingers. And the Mangrove was in my pocket, and I'm like, dude, I don't like this knife anyways. I know you're not supposed to use it for prying, but I'm going to use it, and pop out the metal piece. So I use the back side of it, not the sharpened side, and I'm trying to pop it out, and just the way that I held my hand, and I was using my left hand to open it and my right hand to stabilize everything. The way that I held my hand, I popped off the metal clip, and the knife went flying, like the belly of the knife, not the point, went right into the upper pad of my right hand once again. It's not the palm, but the pad right underneath your knuckles on the inside. And it did probably let's call it a 2-inch gash. And it was one of those cuts that it opened up and the knife went straight into my palm and didn't bounce or nothing. Like I had to pull the knife out of my palm. It was weird. And the coolest part about it was I was like, I like this knife now, and I have no clue why. No clue why. I mean, I would never probably still carry the knife. I never really liked the knife like that, but I was like, me and this knife are cool now. You know, when the practic cut me before, I was like, oh no, you're grounded. Now this one was like, I kind of like you. I'll carry you for an extra day. The last one that I cut myself, this was the worst. This is when I first started down the journey of like the knife realm. I mean, like I said before, we've all gone through, you know, the shitty, the clones, the counterfeits. Not all of us have gone through that, but we've grown up through the cheaper ranks and had to graduate to the more and more expensive models. Well, my first model that I spent anything more than like 20 bucks on was a Spyderco Tenacious, which those things come out of the box screaming sharp. That was probably to this day one of the top 3 sharpest knives that I've ever gotten out of the box. So, like an idiot, I'm holding a piece of printer paper and I'm chopping. Like I'm just chopping at the paper because it's like I'm so fascinated with how sharp this thing is that it's like you can chop at the paper, and it was just slicing slivers off of this paper with no hesitation, no drag, no nothing. Well, I got a little overzealous, and I'm just slicing at it. I'm just so ecstatic that this thing's so sharp. You never realize something could be so cool. And, you know, once again, this is before I became a huge knife guy. But the funny part is I did start making videos. So if you guys go back to, like, my earlier videos, like probably 4 or 5 months ago, you can see that my left hand had stitches on the top hat. I call it the top hat. It's like the little... like the button on the top of your thumb. That's because when I was slicing at that printer paper, I kept going and I just literally lopped off the tip of my thumb. It was nasty. It bled like crazy. Funny part was, not funny, but I actually hit an artery that when I went to the urgent care, she's like, yeah, you hit an artery here. You like you might have to go to the hospital for this. I'm like, what? And she's like, look at this. She opened it up, and you could see it looked like a fountain or like a pump that was dying out because of your heart. It pumps. It doesn't constantly pump. It's like it pumps, like pump, pump, pump. Well, you could see that pump, 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 like in blood. Like it was nasty, but at the same time, I was fascinated still. I'm like, holy shit! I didn't even feel it happen. Like that was insane. So that was probably the cuts of 2020 that I will never forget. That one in particular. Pepsi versus Coke, Sam, I don't care. I am not a Pepsi or a Coke guy. Actually, as a kid, I was a Coke guy because it was syruppier and tasted more sugary, and then I ended up going to Pepsi, and I like it Pepsi more as an adult, I guess. So there's that answer. Sencut, where I would like to see Sencut go. I don't have a preference on where it goes. I'm curious to see what they're gonna do, that's all. One of the questions was, where do I want to see Sencut go with their knives? I have enough faith in WE and Civivi to believe that Sencut is going to go in the direction that we want them to, or they're going to go in a direction that they're going to make us believe that that's where we wanted them to go. So either way, we're going to be happy, whether or not they're pushing us in a way that we don't realize, or that they're just going in a way that we don't realize. You can tell by the latest one out. I don't know what the name of it was. I don't remember what the name of the latest one was, but it's on the way. I got it coming. But it's in Micarta and G10 and 9CR18 MOV, and it's $40. As long as they keep their quality up, I don't care where Sencut goes. We like diverse things, and I may like things that I don't know I like yet, so I don't care where Sencut goes as long as they just keep up with the quality and don't start doing weird shit. Like, no offense to Elijah Isham fans, most of the Isham designs are just so weird that I can't get behind. I mean, they're cool. Like, I had the Plethoros in hand, and it should be ergonomic, and the blade shape was fantastic, but it was just something weird about it that it didn't speak to me. So as long as they don't do anything weird permanently, like they can do a model or two that's weird, that's cool. I'd like to see them try new stuff. It's always fun to see knives try new stuff, like the CJRB recoil lock. Like, that's cool. So once again, I'm trying to, hit all these topics. And again, Sencut, I don't really care where it goes as long as they keep up the designs. But I would like them to acknowledge that they are Civivi and we. Up to this point, it's like they're doing something differently, kind of marketing towards like the Tangrams, the what other models that are down there? Like Tangram, you can only get on Amazon, to my knowledge, maybe one or two other places. I would like to see them bump that up to make that more of a mainstream brand and not just Amazon. Because to me, ordering knives off of Amazon could be hit or miss. Like, I don't know how much I trust that yet. Grail knives. So I'm not like Metal Complex where I have a complete list of what I expect in a knife. But up to this point, what makes a Grail knife for me is contoured scales, forward finger choil, 3.25 to 3.75 inches in length. The tolerances obviously have to be tight. Like, I like a knife that, you have to adjust to get to your perfect level of fidget factor that you like the perfect level of looseness. But I also don't like a knife that, like, once you get there, it's difficult to recenter. And we can all recenter the knives using, once again, Metal Complex's idea of, the paper, loosen up the screws, tighten up the screws, take the paper out, undo the pivot, blah, blah, blah. But I want to see the tolerances to where I don't have to do that. There's, as an enthusiast more so than a user, I prefer, I'm nitpicky. Like, I don't want to see my blade skewed a little bit off to the side. Like, right now, I think my Shaman is skewed a little bit off to the side, and it drives me nuts. So I'll adjust it, and then I get that little click in the side to side. We've all felt it. It's not like a blade play where it's super loose, but you can feel that if you were to tighten it down just a smidgen more, it's not going to click. That's what I'm looking for in a Grail knife. So those of you that don't know, my last Grail knife on my list right now is the WE Malice, preferably in the Flame Anno, I think, but I also like just the regular titanium. Obviously, it's just a knife that speaks to me when I look at it. So I got the Benchmade Super Freak, I have the Spyderco Shaman, and then the WE Malice. That would kind of complete my trifecta of, the Holy Trinity that I call it. The Smock is close. I really, really like the Smock for completely different reasons, plus the fidget factor I think is what wins it over, but the blade shape and everything is awesome. It's not quite a Grail knife, but once I start doing some modding to it, it might be. The PM3, once I do some modding to it, that might be. I love it. I just hate the G10, how grippy it is. It tears my pants up. So, Grail knife, contoured scales, good action, tight tolerances, and a forward finger choil is almost a must, which is ironic for my Benchmade Super Freak that's in there because it has no forward finger choil, but everything else makes up for it with the Super Freak. As far as blade steel, I've been kind of thinking about this one a lot lately too. I love S35. M390 is good. I mean, we all like M390, but I actually am really liking the M4 off of the Super Freak. I love, it sucks that it's not corrosion resistant, but I love the fact that you can, it's got good edge retention. that balances out with the toughness of the steel. There's nothing worse than a chipped knife. That drives me nuts, and it's annoying. So I don't want a steel that's gonna notoriously chip at the cost of anything else, just because it's edge retentive. I really actually don't care about edge retention, which is weird. All right, so we're coming to the close. Last but not least, let's talk about future of the channel. That's actually a much harder question than one would anticipate, and here's why. To answer where I want the future of the channel to go, I would have to understand, I guess, myself more than I do currently. Because every time I try something new, it basically tells me in the channel whether or not I like it. So like, I've kind of found my rhythm for the reviews, right? We start off with a quick overview, I jump into the specs, then I jump into the size comparisons, and then I jump into a second overview that recaps everything, kind of tells if the knife is worth it. Sometimes I'll give it a grade, sometimes I won't, just depending on how it goes. And I don't mind that format, and I don't think you guys mind that format either. So reviews, that's where that's at. The rest of it, though, I did a recent modification of my Spyderco smock, and if you guys haven't watched that video, go back and watch it if you want. I put a forward finger. I have modified the forward finger choil in the smock, but I really loved the way that I did it. Where I just reviewed it, I did it on camera, and then I watched the video, put it in fast forward, and was able to make commentary on it and kind of make it better. So I really liked that format. So whenever I do modifications, which once again, I am not a dude that you should look at the mods and be like, this dude, I'm gonna go to him to learn how to do mods. No, go to me to like see the general idea. But I'm by no means a professional. I'm one of those dudes that's like, hey, let's try it out just because why not? So I think I just like finding new things that work, and I thought that format worked. So where I see it going is I'm kind of a jack of all trades, master of none type of dude. I'm gonna do modifications, I'm gonna do reviews, I'm gonna do some silly shit like with the Pickle Rick thing, and that's fun for me too. Future of the channel, I just want to grow and get to meet new guys, and we all kind of bond over something that we all have a shared enjoyment for. It's not really a very enlightening want for the channel, but I just enjoy it, and realistically, guys, my future of the channel is to constantly evolve and get better, but also constantly entertain myself. And by that I mean, the moment I start thinking of reviews as boring, or I'm doing videos that I don't like because I always watch them before I put them out, or it becomes work, where sometimes it feels like you're obligated to, but it still doesn't feel like work. If it ever starts to feel like work, you guys are gonna see me just fall off the map, because I don't want to do something that I don't enjoy doing, because you guys aren't gonna enjoy listening. So I guess the future of the channel is to keep myself engaged, entertained, and just, it's my outlet. If it ever becomes work, I don't want to do the channel. That's the idea, because you guys will feel the context from me that it feels like work, and it's not going to be fun to watch. It's not going to be fun to make, and it's just going to kind of like fizzle out. So, the good thing is I enjoy new knives, I enjoy feeling new things, and so the cool thing about the knife world, despite the expensive upkeep of it, is that there's always new things out there to try, and I think that's what's going to keep me engaged and keep you guys engaged, and I think that's what sucks us all in. So as long as I'm entertained and it's fun for myself to do, the future of the channel can go wherever it wants to go, wherever you guys kind of want to push it. Ultimately I make the channel for you guys to be entertained, as well as myself to enjoy doing it. But if you guys aren't entertained, there's no point in making it. So, You don't. That's a weird way to put it, and very, very sloppily put. But yeah, there was one more question that I wanted to answer. Yeah, I'm gonna pause the video and then come back to it. All right, there was 2 more questions that I wanted to answer. Current state of USPS, it sucks. Sammy sent me a knife in to review, and it's like hung up in the system. I just shipped out 2 packages yesterday, and I'm gonna ship out a couple more today and tomorrow. Travis, you're getting your knife back soon. I'm gonna be shipping it out today or tomorrow. And then, it sucks. Like, I've been waiting for like 2 weeks for the knife, which sucks for Sammy, because now you gotta wait, for me to get everything done and whatnot. So it's just, current state of USPS sucks, by the way, just putting that out there. And then last but not least, the pros and cons to modding a knife. The reason I wanted to talk about this one is I have a lot of experience with this in positive and negative ways. So the positive ways first is it's fun. It's fun to mod the knife. It's fun to get, to see what you can do. Sometimes it's fun to fail as long as you're smart enough to do it on a knife that you don't give a shit about. And then, for example, my Spyderco smock, like, it was fun to do and to feel accomplished that I fixed that finger choil to my liking, knowing that smock was pretty much going to be a forever knife. That's the pros. Like, you get to just play around, and then you get the prideful fact of doing it. The cons, aside from the fact that you can totally jack up your knife if you're trying to do something goofy, such as acid washing a blade. Like, oh God, I've fucked up too many knives trying to be cool and acid wash my blade, and I still probably will. But as a YouTube reviewer, I have knives coming and going almost on a constant basis. Finances allotted, and people like Jake and Sammy allotted, right? Like, if you guys, and Travis, and the guys that have all sent knives in for review, that helps me keep the channel going. That being said, if I am purchasing the knives just to kind of flip them, it's kind of hard to sell a knife. It's a pain in the ass. Like, I hate going to the post office or something to ship shit out, and then you end up paying $6 here just to get $30 for the knife, or $50 for whatever. It kind of sucks to sell the knife alone. But if you mod your knives and you go to sell them, the problem is when I first started reviewing a channel, I had, like, you guys remember, almost every Civivi in the lineup at the time. So I started doing little things. I dyed my Doris scales. I dyed my Elementum scales. I acid washed the blade. I acid washed my Manix 2 blade. I acid washed my Backlash blade, trying to do something goofy with it, Well, guess what? If you mod it and you do something like that, chances are it's not going to come out that good. Which is fine. It's your knife, right? You'd be like, oh, no, that's cool. Nobody's going to want to buy it. That's the cons to modding a knife. You're never going to sell your frickin' knife once you mod it. And now, I know a lot of you are saying, well, I only buy one knife every quarter of the year, and so I don't need to sell my knives. And that's fine. Then don't sell them. But somebody that constantly have knives coming and going, yeah, it sucks, because you don't think you're going to sell it in the beginning because it's the latest, greatest, it's in your hand, you love it, and you don't have the foresight to say, I'm eventually probably going to sell this despite how much I love it now, so don't mod it. And then you mod it and you're like, well, shit, now I'm stuck with 4 acid wash blades that look like shit. Even after cleaning my Backlash blade up, it's kind of cool. I learned how to I tried to write EE for EDC in the blade, and what I ended up with is I cleaned off all the acid wash. I used vinegar and then cleaned off the blade, used my Dremel with a little bit of light sandpaper and stuff, and got all the acid washed etching off there. But now there's a raised groove of where I tried to do the design. So it's cool on the sense that I learned that does that. I was like, wow, yeah, the acid definitely ate at the blade on this part, but this part's still protruding out because you protected it with enamel paint. But it sucks because you're like, this sucks. I can't sell this knife ever again. So I rambled a lot. This one kind of sucked. I guess I'm finding the groove on the truck chats again. But thank you guys so much for watching. I think I hit all the topics. If I didn't hit all the topics, let me know in the comments and I'll do something about that. I don't know. And I hope this one was entertaining. It was rambly, and I hit several different topics that I didn't really go into too in depth, and I'm not passionate about any one of these topics. So really, to get a good content out of it, you have to be super passionate, or at least know a lot about what you're talking about. And a lot of these, like even the Christmas stories, like I started thinking, I'm like, I don't have cool Christmas stories. I don't have, but I wanted to tell a couple and hit each topic. So those of you that watched to the end or watched the majority of it, enjoyed it, thank you. Thank you guys for being awesome. Thank you guys for the ones that were reaching out that when I wasn't here and you guys were like, dude, are you okay? Like, that's awesome. That's the community that I want to build. It's not the community of like, hey, let's go talk to this guy, he's a YouTuber, it's cool. No, it's like, let's all be, you know, buddies. Like that's what this is about. So that's what this community is here for, and that's really what I'm trying to build. So thank you guys again. I just watched Metal Complex's unboxing of the ProTech Newport. So don't forget, at 500 subs, I'm giving away a ProTech Newport. Just putting that out there. If you haven't subscribed yet, which the only people watching this are the subscribers, the guys that like we actually talk. So, but if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe. Other than that, stay sharp, stay safe, have a great freaking day, and you know, stay warm. It's freaking cold outside. Peace out.